Hey guys, it's Manager Kylie, and in today's video, I'm going to share with you how to score a lacrosse game. So today I'm going to go through all the details of a lacrosse score sheet and some of the nuances on it and the different pieces of information you need to know to be able to score a lacrosse game. This sheet specifically goes into some of the details, both just like the general scoring of the game and then some of the other elements that are important in keeping track of so that you know kind of how the tone of the game is going and whether one team is more dominant than the other during the game. But if you guys are interested in learning more sports administration and scoring content just like this, definitely hit the subscribe button, turn the bell so you get notified every time I upload, as I post a new video every single Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, and we're going to dive into this lacrosse score sheet. So this is what the lacrosse score sheet looks like. I'm going to zoom in on certain parts as we go through them. The first thing we have is up in this top corner. We have kind of lists all the coaches and the team information. So what you're going to do is just put the visiting team and the home team, like the names and the coaches. So all I'm going to just put is that the visiting team is the red team, the home team is the blue team, and then you'd put the coaches' names as well. This line across the top is the running score, so it keeps track of both the visiting team score on the top and the home team score on the bottom, at least for their first 20 goals. If for some reason you have more than 20 goals in the game, you could add on to that. This little piece over here in this top corner has the scoring summaries for the different quarters. This score sheet does quarters. Some teams, depending on your league, might play halves, but this score sheet does do quarters, but you could just use it the same way and just only put it in the first two if you're going to play halves. This other section right here, this is kind of your roster and then all of your information about what each individual player is doing. This list right here is your penalties. So if for some reason somebody in your team got a penalty for any reason, that would be listed here. And then this bottom section down here is some of the more of your team things. So your goalie stats, your timeouts, the amount of clears you were able to successfully do or you failed at, your extra man offense, so if the other team has a penalty, how you did when you had an extra man, and then your face-offs, how you did in those. And then finally on the bottom, it just lists all the basic information, so ref, ump, field judge, scorekeeper, timer, date, all of that information. So I'm going to start, we're going to kind of just do this for one team, and I'll just show you everything that you need to know for one team. We're going to start off with your roster. So this does put in your starters, attack, midfield, and defense, and that might be helpful for your own team. Generally, if you're going to put the opposite team, you might want to just put them in and kind of ignore the positions right here and just put them in numerical order so that you have player 1, 3, 4, 5, so that way it's easy to find their numbers if you have them in numerical order when something happens. You're going to put their names, so we're going to just do Joe, John, and Fred, and then Kevin. So you're just going to put all their names, and then as the game goes on, there's a few different categories right here. We're going to go category by category. So the first thing is a goal. So if somebody was to score, so say Joe was to score, he would get a tally mark for goal. And then you have to figure out who would pass that ball to Joe. So the direct pass right before that, let's say it came from Fred, Fred will get an assist. That is very important when it comes to up here. We're dealing with the home team, which is this bottom one, but you have to put the time of the goal. So we're going to say the goal happened at 2 minutes and 54 seconds. You can put the goal, you can either put their number or their name. It's probably easier just because of how small it is to put their number. So we're going to say number 1 scored the goal and number 4 had the assist. You'll keep track of that throughout the game to get each individual person's totals. The number of shots is every time they shoot the ball at the net. You can keep track of that, so we can just kind of add tallies in as they shoot the ball. GR balls means ground ball. So when there is a loose ball on the ground, it's who won that loose ball. So you would give them tally marks for any ground balls that they won. And then points is depending on it. This kind of depends on whether or not you don't have to keep track of this column. Some people do. Some people give 2 points for a goal, 1 point for assist. It's kind of up to you whether or not you use this column, but that's where you would put the amount of points that they had. Some people just put a point for a goal, depending on how you want to keep track of it. The next section on here is penalties. So for this one, the few columns in the middle are really the most important. I'm going to go kind of through the most important. You can do this as in much detail or as little as detail as you want. You want to make sure you have the score and some of the basic information, which is what I'm going to focus on. You're going to put the player number. So we're going to say number 3 got a penalty. You're going to put what the penalty was. So we're going to say it was cross-checking. You're going to put the quarter, so we'll say this happened in the first quarter, and then you're going to put the time of the penalty, so that you know when it happened as well. So we're going to say it happened at 5 minutes and 2 seconds. You just put whatever the information is based on your game. And then what that actually means is now the visiting team, which is on this other side, is actually up a man, so they have an extra man offense. So depending on what happened, we're going to say nothing happened while the penalty was happening. You would put a tally mark in that first quarter to say they failed when they had extra man offense. Kind of similar to like hockey and a power play. That's just keeping track of if they were successful when they were up a man. Other information you could have in here is your goalie's name, and then the amount of goals he allowed. So every time he allowed his goal, you can put a tally mark, and then you can put the total at the end. And then the amount of saves that he had, so we can just put in some tally marks, and then at the end of the game, you would total that up. For all of these, you can put a total at the end in the number form, depending on how many tallies somebody has. For clears, this is when the goalie gets the ball and they're trying to clear it up the field. So they get that save and then they're trying to clear it up the field. If they're able to successfully clear it up the field and get it out of their zone, you would give them a tally mark. If they were unsuccessful with it and the other team got the ball before it cleared out of the zone, that would be a failed. Like I said before, the extra man offense, tally marks for when everything happened. So if there's a penalty for the other team, if they're able to successfully score with the extra man, you would put a tally mark. If they're not, you just put one there. And at the end of all these boxes, you would just put the total at the bottom. So we can just say like they had a couple different ones throughout the game. So then you just put the total of 3, the total of 1, and you would total them up in that bottom one. Face-off, so anytime there's a face-off, both at the beginning of the game, after a goal scored, anything like that, there's a face-off, you would put whether or not you won the face-off or you lost the face-off. You can put tally marks to keep track of that, and then you total it up at the end of the game. Both this and ground balls are a good way to keep track of how the game's going. If your team's getting a lot of ground balls and winning a lot of face-offs, you're generally probably doing better than the other team. You also have your timeouts, so you can list what quarter you used them in. And then you can list the amount of the time that you use them. So we can say that they used one in quarter 2 at 3 minutes and 50 seconds. So you just list them in there. And then if you do go into OT, you get some extra timeouts. At the end of the game, or really at the end of each quarter, you do want to be keeping track of where the score is. So you would put up here, you can say that it's, okay, the visiting team has 2 points, the home team has 4, so forth and so on until you get to the score at the end. Say it was 6-8. I know that's a low-scoring game technically for lacrosse, but just putting it for example. And then finally, you would just have everybody sign this. So you'd have your referee sign in the bottom, your umpire, your field judge, you as the scorer would write your name, your timer would write their name, and then the date of whenever the game happens. So we can just say it happened on 4/2. So this is kind of the very basics of how to score a lacrosse game. If you have any questions about more details or anything, let me know. Don't forget to put all your totals in any of these boxes at the end of the game. But I hope you guys found this helpful. Again, questions, please leave those in the comments. I'd be happy to give you more details if there's a section you want more details on, or hopefully this was a good refresher if you scored before, or at least a good start if you're new to scoring lacrosse games. So if you guys have any questions about the score sheet, definitely let me know in the comments down below. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about it. If you have any questions about scoring in general for any sport, let me know that as well. I'd be happy to give a specific video for your sport or link you to a video that I've already made for your specific sport. But I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, and I will see you guys next Wednesday.